I'm Julia, and this is Steven, our VP of Solution Strategy here at Pure IT. And today we wanted to jump on and talk to you guys a little bit about AI. And we know that's a buzzword. We hear it all the time now, especially from big companies like Microsoft. Over the last couple of years, I think especially, we've seen a huge jump in them adding Copilot, AI, et cetera, to everything that they release. So let's dive in. What does that mean, Stephen, for credit unions, and what do they need to be on the lookout for?
Yeah, obviously, Microsoft's trying to look forward here. They have invested heavily in OpenAI and are pushing AI into almost every part of their business. And some of that is impactful to credit unions right now. Some of that is kind of off to the side in the personal space, and some of that we can just ignore for right now. For us in the credit union space, the impactful places are really Copilot for 365 is a huge introduction for us, for anybody that leverages that platform. There are some really great inclusions in that could be really optimizing for us in this industry. Things like Copilot in Teams is very powerful. The Copilot UX that you get in the Microsoft 365 portal, very powerful. They also have inclusions in the Office applications like in Word, Excel, PowerPoint. Your experience is going to vary with those a little bit. I would call those an infancy type product, but also in Power Platform for organizations that lever that, very, very powerful. Aside from operationally, from a security perspective, they've also introduced Copilot for Security, which analyzes security information and delivers suggestions and advice on that. That's also a new product. It's just rolling out. We're kind of yet to see what the benefits of that are. Aside to that, there's the more traditional machine learning stuff that Microsoft is doing right now, and that is in Power BI and within the Azure space. Power BI has been and will continue to be a very, very powerful business analytics tool for us and a front end, a dashboard for visualizing information. It is extremely capable and probably one of the best in the business right now. So that's absolutely a place where we should look at AI inside of our industry.
And you know what? I have a question, and I think other people out there might have this question too. What the heck is a Copilot plus PC? What does that mean? Are we going to start seeing those everywhere? Is it going to be the new industry standard, do you think?
No, I don't think it's going to be industry standard. Copilot Plus PCs right now are ARM chip powered laptops. And that's it. That's what it is today. Qualcomm has introduced a processor called the Snapdragon X Elite, and it is similar in nature to the Apple M1, M2, M3 processors. It's a really cool architecture. It's going to majorly help battery life and even performance on these laptops as far as how thin they can be, how long the batteries last, how much power you get out of them, just like it did for Macs. Microsoft has tied AI into that because they have what's called neural processing units built into those chips that enable them to locally run language models like Copilot on the machine. And that's going to be a cool tool someday. Right now, I would put it just above toy. Into productive.
Okay, so we don't need to worry about it yet then.
No. And it's probably not going to be super present in the credit union space as a business tool immediately. And if you're out looking for laptops right now, I would actually suggest possibly staying away from those for a generation and waiting for that to flesh out and optimize itself a little bit before you engage in a purchase of something like that.
And I think that's some great advice. We kind of want to see where things end up before we start implementing them into our environments. So, let's get into it. Let's address the elephant in the room that Microsoft recalled Recall. What is Recall, and what does that mean? How does it connect to the Copilot Plus PCs? Why are we talking about this in terms of AI? What do credit needs need to know about Recall? Do they need to be worried? Give us some intel on that.
So AI is like the next frontier. There's all kinds of possibilities and all kinds of cool stuff that we can do. We don't know what we don't know about the possibilities of it, and that leads to a lot of ideas being put forth about we could use it for this or we could use it for that. And it's also like the Wild West. And sometimes you try something new and it turns out to maybe not be a good thing. Recall's probably an example of that. The concept of recall is or was, depending on how they progress forward with it, is Microsoft would literally take screenshots of your computer every 5 seconds, use AI to database those screenshots so that you could then in the background go and say, what was that web page I was looking at last Tuesday? Or I can't find the Word document that I was working on. Can you help me find that? Things like, or I was watching a YouTube video by Steve and Julia. Can you tell me what the content of that was? And it can come back and answer that question. At first blush, it sounds, well, that would be kind of helpful. But then you realize that you have a database of all of your activities on that laptop or on that machine. And that's a little scary. It gets even more scary when you consider somebody grabbing that information and exfiltrating it.
Yeah, getting access to it for sure.
Even worse for us in the credit union industry is if this were used on things like teller machines or things where it sees customer information, it could potentially record that information and that activity. And that's scary. We don't really want that. It hasn't been presented as a business solution, more of a personal one right now. It was only for those Copilot Plus PCs. It only existed in beta as a concept, just something they were thinking about and testing.
Before they recalled it,
and
right?
And now it doesn't even show up. The public outcry has been so large that it's actually absent from even the newest beta builds now of Windows. And so it's obvious they've taken that back to the drawing board and are reconsidering that approach altogether. So that's a good thing. Sometimes that's what happens with ideas, and I applaud Microsoft for winding it back and saying, let's go back and think about this. It's okay to come up with ideas. It's also okay to say, maybe that wasn't a good one.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Stephen. I hope this helped you guys learn a little bit more about AI, Microsoft, and what's going on in this space. We'll catch you next time. Thanks.
Thank you.